when I got sucked over, and as I said, my body was just on two different sides of the lip, and it's just hyperextended my knee. But I wasn't going to let that ruin my trip.
Welcome back to A Classic. I'm your host, Dan Muntz, and today my guest is an absolute maniac on the body surfing scene. If you haven't seen any of his stuff, check out his Instagram. It's not like your average beach break. You're talking Wedding Cake Island, Shipstern's Bluff, Pipe, all sorts. It's just insane. But Corey Sainsbury, welcome, mate. I'm glad we finally got this done.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. It's good to be here.
So give us a bit of background on yourself. I understand you grew up in Cronulla, which is my hometown as well.
Yeah, mate, based in Cronulla in the Sutherland Shire, so blessed with the luck of some nice reef breaks around here and some good beach breaks as well. So yeah, just been hitting those spots up for the last sort of 10 or so years that I've been body surfing, and and then sort of been pushing it a bit further out of Cronulla, been chasing that thrill a little bit all over the shop.
Yeah, so obviously pretty well every Aussie kid who lives on the coast starts out body surfing. So is that where you kicked off as a young bloke, just getting in the waves and just having a bit of fun?
Yeah, pretty much. I was always a swimmer. I went to a sports school, high school, for swimming, and my main thing was open water swimming, long distance. So that's what got me in deep water pretty quick, and my training was a lot at beaches, and then it kind of really just got into, catching waves and having a bit of fun out there while I'm, got my head down, getting up the kilometres. So yeah, got into it that way. Always sort of based around the beach. Holidays were always coastal, and most of the time you couldn't fit a board in. So when we were going away with the family, so it was just my body and my fins. That's about it, really.
Yeah. So did you ever jump on a surfboard or bodyboard?
Yeah, I still surf, especially if the waves are real small and fat. I might get the longboard out.
Yep.
And probably going through high school, I got on the boog a little bit when I was catching the train out to, because I wasn't always from Cronulla, so I'm in Cronulla now, but I wasn't always from Cronulla, so I'd catch the train to Cronulla, and me and my mates would go out surfing. I'd normally get paid out for getting on the bod, so for a little while there, I went to the boog, and then I was like, nah, stuff all years, I'm getting back on the bod. It's way funner.
So you just prefer it? Is that why you do it? It's just more fun?
100%, yeah, like, easy to learn, hard to master, as they say, and no matter if it's like half a foot or 10 foot, you can always get in the barrel. So, and that's what I was mainly going for, was like, just loved getting in the barrel, and probably starting off surfing, it was like, found that like getting in the barrel was like a mile away. Like, you had to be semi-professional. I felt like. So then, yeah, just stuck to the bod because I was having fun and loving it, and um, getting some good visuals and stuff like that. So just stuck with it and progressively got better and better, and never really thought of it as something that could be that everyone sort of watched or anything. I'd never thought it as a professional sport or anything like that. Just sort of something to have a bit of fun with, and kind of turned into something a bit bigger than what I thought it would, really.
Yeah. It's funny because me body surfing, like obviously always getting in the barrel on the body surfing, but I have never had the intention of coming out of it. So
Yeah,
watching your stuff, it's epic. Like just getting in there and coming straight out. It's like you're riding a bodyboard or something.
yeah, exactly. And like, to be honest, when I first started body surfing, this is mad getting in the barrel, but like I never actually expected to make a barrel until I started to progress a bit more and find a few different spots and kind of tune in, like what kind of waves like are suitable for body surfing, and getting your head around all that stuff. And then it all started to come together and started making a few waves, and I was like, oh, you could probably push it a bit bigger and maybe make some waves, and kept just going that way and going that way, and then got the fever for the big waves.
So for body surfing, you mentioned the wave type. Are you looking for something really sucky? Is that what you need to stay on top of the surface there a bit?
Yeah, really sucky and kind of like a peaky wave
Right.
sort of thing. Yeah, there's some like the fatter waves aren't really that great, but yeah, some real sucky and yeah, just hollow. Yeah, you really want the speed. You got to get the speed off the steepness of the wave. Really, like the drop is giving you pretty much all your speed, and then if you can hold that line pretty high, you'll get a fair bit of speed off it. But you can't really. It's not like surfing where you can, you know, go down the face of the wave and bottom turn in and get all your speed off that bottom turn by going back up the face. You've really got to cut across the wave and keep that high line to get your speed.
So I guess for any young blokes out there, young girls, whatever, jumping in who do want to push, they see your stuff and they want to give it a go. What's the best sort of progression for them to start going from, the bus drive and beach wave to stepping it up to the sort of stuff you do?
You just got to find like starting off like a real shallow, swallowy kind of sandbank, something that's drawing pretty hard, um, and then slowly go up. I started off, on those sort of sandbanks, and then went to point rides, and then you sort of get the feel of you know longer rides and stuff like that and trimming across the wave for a while, and then you find like a smaller reef break that's a little nugget of a wave. You got to get a bit used to rocks and stuff like that and hitting the bottom and get comfortable with hitting the bottom and stuff like that, and then you slowly just progress to a little bit of a bigger slab and you do your research and find where all these waves are, and a bit bigger and a bit bigger. And then as you go, you probably need to do a bit more training on your swimming. I do a bit of, in the pool swimming now. I've given up my swimming stuff, but I still get in the pool fairly often. And then if you get to the real big stuff, you probably got to look at start breath hold training and stuff like that.
So do you do that breath hold training and everything, or are you just swimming?
Yeah, I've done some breath hold training, definitely. Um, it started off with just some free diving, doing a free diving course, and then I learned that that's great, and all it teaches you breathing techniques um, for just like sitting out in the lineup and stuff like that to really calm yourself down, oxygenate your blood, and bring your heart rate down. But obviously, when you're caught on the inside of a wave, it's not like a static breath hold. It's quite the opposite. It's ferocious breath hold. So then you've got to start to train for those ferocious breath holds, which I've been mainly doing with just friends and stuff lately. Like I haven't really found any courses or anything, but I've everything's on YouTube really. So you just like YouTube it, find out what to do with your mates, and once you've got like the breath holding techniques down pat, you can sort of incorporate that into your ferocious breath hold training, and then just get a mate, get a deep pool, and get him to smash you around a bit down there and get comfortable being uncomfortable, really.
Yeah, so that ferocious breath hold training, is that where, I don't know, you might sprint a lap or two and then just go straight under and they're just tumbling you around?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, especially with like big wave stuff, you're gonna get sometimes 10 waves on the head and be held under for a while. So we started off doing one lap, as hard as you can, 100%, and then 30 seconds would just smash you around, and then you do two laps at about 80%, and then you'd go down to 20 seconds, and he'd smash you around for 20 seconds, three laps at 70%, and then just slowly increase it, like increase the laps and the amount you're swimming, but decrease the breath hold, and by the end of it, you're smashed. You're smashed. And I still do a fair bit of static breath hold stuff because I think that just helps you remain calm. And I'm probably not as good as in the static breath hold stuff as I used to be when I first did my free diving course. But I'd say with the when I get to the big waves in the ocean, I'm way more comfortable with the sort of ferocious breath hold kind of stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, all the breath hold training you're doing with a mate or something too, because that could be pretty dodgy, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to do it on your own, that's for sure. Like I have mates that have said they were doing like they'd just go to the pool and do one lap of holding their breath every 6 strokes and then slowly increase it to 8 strokes by himself. It's a bit silly. Like things can go wrong pretty easy in the water. Doesn't take long. So yeah, always got to have a friend around at least.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and is there any body surfing clubs at local beaches or that people can look for?
Yeah, there is. Pre-COVID, that's what actually really kicked off the whole body surfing community. Is we had in Cronulla, we had the Bait Bay Body Bashers and the Budgie Boys, and it was just like a community. Like really, it was just go down every Bait Bay Body Bashers were every Sunday. You go down there and get in the water, and even if the waves were terrible, you just go for a dip. Go down to your local cafe after, have a coffee together, have a bacon egg roll, and it wasn't. It was based on people. What we said is people came for the body surfing, but stayed for the community.
Right.
We had Bait Bay Body Bashers had over 100 members uh,
Whoa.
pre-COVID, and then COVID we sort of stopped the meetups, and now they're starting back up once a month, just every Sunday. I think it's the first Sunday of every month, um, and the Budgie Boys they meet up every now and then. So they've both got Instagram pages. So if you're looking to get involved, hit one of them up. That's if you're around the Shire. If you're not, there's the Northern Beaches Body Surfers. There's the Stocko Wampers up your way near Newcastle, and there's the Goldie Sliders up in Gold Coast, and South Coast Body Surfers down base Wollongong way. So there's clubs popping up everywhere, which is a good thing to see.
Yeah, so it's a growing sport, I'd say, is it?
Yeah, it is. But I'd also say it's a growing community sport. It's mainly based like the things like we have a comp called Wompoff, and yes, it's a comp to say, but it's more just a get together of all the community and get in the water and have a laugh and take the piss out of each other and have a bit of a feed together, have a few beers together, and then catch up all again in the next comp. Really,
Yeah, okay. Well, and what about all the gear you're using? So, obviously you can body surf with nothing, just your body, but
yeah.
you're stepping things up a bit. What's some good gear, or what do you use, and does it change from session to session?
Yeah, it does a little bit. So I got my fins. I use DeFins. I think personally, they're probably the best for body surfing. They're body surfing based fins. There a lot of ocean photographers use them and all as well. But they're good. They got something that's symmetrical. You know, has that big thrust to start off with. You want to be able to go from sitting dead still in the water to a good thrust to start off with. That normally helps. And then I got a hand plane, so I use that every now and then. I'd say probably about 50% of sessions at the moment I use it. I go through periods where I use it every session, and then I use it. 1 year I might not use it at all, just like trying to push myself to not use it and get better without it and stuff like that. So it definitely helps though. It helps you draw that line. And as I said earlier, which is like the most important thing in body surfing is being able to hold a line on that wave, because that's really what's ultimately going to get you the speed to get out of the wave as well. Um, uh, Obviously a good pair of togs if you've got no wetsuit on, because they can fall off pretty easy. And
Have you ever had that happen?
yeah, in the early days, I hadn't really started to explore some tight pairs of swimmers, so I had some, speedos that every wave you'd catch, they'd end up around your ankles, and then you've got your ankles tied together. And
It's always fun
luck,
as a young bloke.
yeah, luckily I haven't had the unfortunate circumstance of them falling off over the fins though, so that's been quite lucky. That'd be pretty embarrassing, but.
Yeah, that'd be shocking.
Yeah, got a good pair at the moment. They're Keels, they're water polo based brands, so they're made for people to tug at them and stuff like that, because people try and rip them off in water polo and stuff. So they stay on pretty well, and the hand plane I'm using is a War, so that's he's got a pretty good gig at the moment. He's doing recycle based hand planes, and That's great to be able to like keep the water clean there. It's all recycled plastics off the Great Barrier Reef, so it's good to be able to like do have fun, but also give back to the community as well by cleaning up the beach by using them too.
Well, let's get into some of these stories, man. Like you got so many. You're talking pipe, wedding cake, shipsterns. Like I've had to limit it to a couple. So today
Yeah.
we're going to talk about Wedding Cake Island.
Yep.
So like earlier this year, you were out on just an insane day at Wedding Cake Island. So give me a bit of a rundown about how you ended up in the car park, and like, was it all planned or was it a last minute call or what happened there?
Yeah, it was semi a last minute call. I'd done a not so big session at Wedding Cake before, so sort of knew the swell it needed. Got on the phone to a few people that know all the spots around. Tim Benithan's always a good one. He knows a bit about everywhere. So we were either tossing up between Wedding Cake and Dead Man's. And it just so happened to be that a guy named Kalani, Brazilian big wave body surfer, he messaged me a couple of days before it saying that he was going to be in Melbourne. I said, mate, Melbourne, there's no way. And he was going to be there at Urban Surf. So I said, look, when you're done there, catch a plane up to Sydney. I think we might have some swell coming. And he just so happened to book a hotel in Coogee. Didn't even tell him where we were going to be surfing.
Right.
So anyway, called him the day before and I was like, mate, we're pretty on. We're either going to be going to Manly or staying in Coogee. But I'm thinking we're probably going to be at Coogee. Woke up in the morning, the charts were way bigger than what we expected. Dead south swell. So, yeah, went to Coogee. I was like, mate, just walk down from your hotel room, and I'm sure you'll see it. Uh, Went down there. We took a mate with me, Uga. He was not getting in the water. He thought it'd be safer to fly the drone, but yeah, pretty much pulled up. Walked out to the headlands, and there's just these monster waves. I have a good mate, Peter Sperling. He's body surfer too, and he lives on the headlands there. He's lived there for 30 years, and he said, I've never seen a swell that big there. So that just goes to show how once in a lifetime of a swell it was. So I was frothing. Kalani showed up. Tim Benithan was there. We were all kind of like, do we get in the water now? There's no one in there. So we jumped in. We suited up. We didn't just jump in there. It was pretty much impossible. Like if you want, there's a jump off there, but it was pretty tough to get in there. We still did it. Kalani lost a lot of bark getting in. I think I've got a photo actually. It's us just rocked off. The rocks are probably 5-10 meters behind us, and there's just this 12-foot wall of water just about to break on our head, and we duck under it. Breaks right on our head. We duck under it. I got a photo of just my fins up in the air, just trying to dive as deep as I can before this wave hits us. Because if we had got caught on that, and if you have a board as well, like you're gone in that situation. But luckily, no piece of foam means that you can get pretty far under the water. So got under it. And if you've been to seen Wedding Cake before, it's a fair way out. So us not really thinking of the swell direction or anything, not really planning on swimming out, or not really even seeing anyone swim out, because no one was out there at this point. There was no jet skis out there, no surfers out there. It was just me and Kalani thinking that we could just swim out there and take on this beast. um, and so we just swum sort of directly to Wedding Cake. We thought it'd be all right, but because of the big south swell, it's kind of pushed us on the inside of the waves before we actually got to the peak of the waves. So, mate, we were swimming for like 45 minutes, and it was just those like 30 footers, just 20 to 30 footers, just on our head, one after another, after another, after another, 45 minutes. And that whole time, there was no surfers out there. There was hundreds of people on the rocks, photographers everywhere. But all the guys were there's nowhere to really launch your jet skis around there, so you got to either launch them like I know some of the boys were like they're lifeguards at Maroubra, so they were launching it on the beach at Maroubra. Otherwise, it's in like near where the shipping containers come in, La Perouse way, yeah, in Botany. Um, so they were a fair way away. So we were just hoping that they'd turn up soon and we'd maybe hitch a jet ski, lift out to the peak because we were just copping wave after wave after wave on the head.
Was it the waves pushing you, or was it the rip and everything? You just
Nah,
couldn't
so
couldn't get out there.
what it was when we got in, so wedding cake's out here, we've rocked off here, and we've just sort of tried to swim straight across. We should have swum out and let the southerly swell push us to the peak. Um, but we've just tried to go directly across, take the easy route. And we've gotten pretty much tried to swim out there, and the southerlies pushed us on the inside of the wave, and then we're just stuck. Just no hope of getting out there after 45 minutes. I said to Kalani, mate, I'm going to swim into Coogee, which is probably a kilometre swim in, maybe a bit more. And in 10 foot of swell as well, you got to watch out that that current doesn't pull you onto the rocks or anything like that. Or on the inside, there's lots of little. There's the bit called the southerly, which is just on the inside of the of wedding cake. You got to make sure you don't get caught on the inside of that as well, swimming in. So I started to swim in. Kalani decided to stay out there for a bit longer and try and get to swim out to the peak. But by the time I got into Coogee, I could see Kalani started to swim back into the beach as well. So I did the run around, jumped in. By this time, no, there was still no jet skis showed up, but there was a couple of people in the water surfing. And instead of trying to swim directly the to wedding cake, we'd learnt from our mistakes and decided to swim sort of out to sea and let the current, let the swell take us across to the peak, and got out there. And I think I was out there for probably maybe 2 minutes, and this one just formed up in front of me. And as I said before, like body surfing, you like to have a real sucky wave and not fat waves. These are fat waves, so they're real hard to get into. You got to be there's pretty much maybe a meter. You've got a meter of distance that is the perfect spot to be in, and if you're not in that meter, you're in the wrong spot, and you're not getting into the wave, or you're either not getting into the wave because you're too far out, or getting thrown over the lip because you're too far in. So I just happened to be in that little, which was a complete fluke. It was breaking here, there, and everywhere. So it was just right place, right time, and turned around, took about 3 strokes, and got into this thing. And the way I can explain it is just like being on just a bouncing balloon, pretty much. Just a 30-foot bouncing balloon that's horizontal, and you're just bouncing all the way down it. You're not really connected with the face for that long. You're just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing until you get to the bottom, and you're trying to catch a rail to go across the wave, but you can't because you're just bouncing off the face. So it's just bounced all the way down the face, and then once I got to the bottom, tried to cut across. But as I said, like in body surfing, you can't really, there's no such thing as a hard bottom turn once you're in the flats like that. You can't grab a rail hard enough. So I've just had tons of whitewash behind me and decided that's sort of the end of my ride. And it felt like forever that I was on that wave for, just bouncing down that face. But it was probably maybe a 5 second just glory down the face, this 30-foot face. So dropping, 30 foot in, 5 seconds, it's pretty, exciting stuff. But I wouldn't say it's not that fun of a wave to body surf. It was more the challenge for me of swimming all the way out there, swum for 45 minutes, knew that I wouldn't be able to get out to the peak, swum in. I would have swum anywhere between 5 and 10 Ks that session,
Yep.
with swimming out there, swimming in, swimming back out there, swimming back in, trying to stay out there, trying to get to the peak. So it was more just the challenge for myself to actually be in that little 1 meter area that you can actually catch a wave, and being able to slide down that face was just the reward, really.
So you hit the bullseye a bit there. Was it well
Yeah,
worth it?
well worth it. Yeah, yeah. Like I've definitely surfed better waves, but for body surfing as such, but just the challenge and knowing that it's a once in a 30-year swell. Like I probably won't be as fit and as able as I am now next time that swell comes through there. So had to make the most of it when it came through, and hopefully it's a story to tell for many years to come. Hopefully when I have kids, telling the good old days when wedding cake was pumping. So for me, it's just the challenge, and being able to prove to myself what I can really do in the water, and having all my training pay off and stuff like that.
Yeah. I got heaps I want to know about this, but is there first off a world record for body surf wave size?
I don't know. Hey, yeah, I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah,
Um,
because these were huge.
yeah, yeah, they were yeah, they were big waves. I'd have to look into that. I know there's one for surfing. I'm not even sure if there's one for bodyboarding. I
Yeah, I
know
don't know. Yeah,
there's one for skimboarding, and skimboarding's kind of like a similar sport to body surfing. So you'd think like a similar level sport to body surfing. So I don't know, something to
we're
look
gonna
into.
find out. We're gonna find out for sure. But I got heaps of questions about that. So you've got off the rocks, you got out the back. Well, you didn't get out the back the first time, but you're getting slammed by set after set. So are you wearing goggles?
No, no.
What's it like? You got this giant set coming at you. I don't even know how big the whitewash would be. There's some insane footage which I'll put on of it, but diving under, you got your. I'm assuming you're opening your eyes to have a look.
Yeah.
What's that experience like going down straight under a wave that size? I imagine it's just dark.
It's pitch black. It's pitch black, and with most reef spots, your hands are out in front because you know that the bottom's close by. Wedding cake, the bottom's 15 feet deep plus. In some areas, it's you know 20 meters deep. So
Jeez.
you don't really know. You're just swimming down, 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 down as deep as you can, because you know you're not going to hit the bottom, and you know that if you, that's the pleasure of body surfing as well. You can just dive deep and get away from it, but that's also where your training comes into it, just to remain calm, and that's the freediving side. Like that, they weren't. If you dive deep enough, they weren't really ferocious breath holds, because all the energy's at the top of the water. So that's where the freediving side came into it, was just being able to slow your breathing down, and knowing those breathing techniques, because you've got, by the time you dive all the way down and then pop back up after a wave, there's another wave on your head. You've probably got a couple of seconds to slow your breathing down, use those breathing techniques, know that everything's going to be all right, trust in your training, and then you're back under again to do it all again. And it was like that for 45 minutes straight. And I'm glad I didn't have my hand plane on at that time, because that would have just been an extra thing to worry about. Kalani had this big hand plane, this big, that's about this thick, that's full of flotation, so he wouldn't have been able to dive as deep as me, and that was probably why he was stuck a back bit on the inside, because he couldn't dive as deep, so he was feeling all that energy. But there was definitely a couple that I popped up and they were pretty much breaking on my head, so I didn't get the chance to dive pretty real deep, and they were the ferocious, just the lip landing pretty much on your back. Well, it feels like on your back. You're probably a meter or so under the water, but it feels like it's just landing on your back. And there, because it's a like sort of a deep water wave, the energy goes pretty quick. It's all ferocious for that one split second, and then there's not much, because it's not like a below sea level wave or anything like that. It's not much behind it. So it's that initial uh, smashing, and then it's pretty calm after that. But it's just about having the fitness and the endurance to be able to keep going, keep going. Have that set in your mind that I'm going to get out there. I'm going to get out there. You just got to keep your head down and keep calm and stick to your training, and you'll eventually get out the back.
So when you do, obviously you said that the pro of body surfing is you can dive really deep and miss a lot of that.
Yeah,
Uh, but I'm imagining the pro of surfing against that is that you got that bit of a life preserver almost to the surface.
yeah.
How does it feel when you're actually inside and you are getting slammed in a wave? You haven't made it under; it's just picked you up and thrown you. As opposed to surfing where you can almost feel it. What's that like? Just having nothing but yourself.
Well, with surfing, you can sort of tell where the top is because you got a leg
Yeah.
rope. You can feel how body surfing. You kind of just got to relax because you don't know how far the top is away. So you're just hoping that you get to the top soon. You don't really know. So it's kind of a scary point sometimes that you could be 5 meters under the water and you're thinking that you need to breathe 2 minutes ago. Like, uh, so you kind of just got to relax. You don't really know where the top is. It is, yeah, going, being, surfing and board surfing and knowing that the top's just there. I can feel that my leg rope's loose. So, and I've still got my board on. So the top's just there. I'll know that I get my breath soon. Or knowing that, okay, my leg rope's tight. I'm a fair way under the water is a great heads up. Um, but yeah, so that's the main downside, and as well as like when you get done, you can sort of just hop on, lay on your board, and know that the whitewash is going to take you in.
Yep.
You can't really do that on the bod.
And do you ever get disoriented underwater? Do you know you're heading up like in that size swell?
You're heading upwards just because you're positively buoyant, but you don't really know which way is the shore. You don't know which ways. So you just sometimes you pop up and you'll pop up facing shore, and you don't know what's coming behind you. There could be a massive wave about to break on your head. So that's the main disorientating part is not knowing where's out to sea. Not you really want to pop up out to sea to be able to know what's coming and be able to adapt to that. But that's the disorientating part of it, yeah, and especially
Yep.
when it's pitch black down there.
It's terrifying. And then when you're out there, you're sitting there, you're bobbing around like a cork and the water's at this level as opposed to a surfboard that you can sit on. What's
Yeah,
that kind of view like? And, you know, I guess with a surfboard, you can almost see over as you're going up over the waves, you could see the next one's coming and know, oh, I think there's another three or four in this set or whatever. Can you do that while you're body surfing, just floating in the water, or are you just going one after the other, and you just got to keep going?
yeah, you just got to keep going. You can't see what's coming. The water line's at eye level. I normally watch the surfers because when I see them start paddling hard to the horizon, that's when I know that I've got to swim hard to the horizon. Um, but that day there was no surfers out there for the first probably hour that we were out there. Um, so there was nothing to really go off, but we didn't really need the surfers anyway that day because we were just we didn't get out to the peak until the surfers were out there because we were just one wave on the head after another. So it was just constant swimming that whole time. Really, the only thing that would have been an advantage is if you had a board is when the big sets are coming, so you can sort of mentally prepare yourself for. All right, there's a big wave coming. You wouldn't know that there's a really like they're all big waves, but you wouldn't know that there's a really really big one coming until it's pretty much on you. Um, which I guess is kind of a good thing as well. Like if if you know that there's a big wave coming, you can sort of sometimes you're like maybe give up a little bit and you're like stuff this. There's a big wave coming. It's gonna push me back 15 meters. I may as well just try and swim in. So I guess it's a good thing in some respect as well. Keeps you honest and keeps you going.
And so, based on that wave that you caught, do you think there's a limit, I suppose, safety related and like just related to yourself, a limit to the size of the wave that you can catch body surfing?
I think there is at the moment just because equipment hasn't really been put in place for body surfing, like safety equipment as such. You see the surfers when they're going real big waves, they've got pull to inflate vests and stuff like that.
Yep.
You can't, an impact vest, you can't really wear that body surfing. It's just going to, well, first of all, you're like swimming out there, it's going to get in the way. And then when I've tried to think of like, you know, when you're body surfing, it's like especially when it's a big wave, it's mainly your back on the wave. So if it's a left hander, maybe having just your right hand front bit, just a pull to inflate there. So you've just got one there. So it's not going to get in the way when you're on the actual wave. It's not going to be hydrodynamic kind of thing. But even I've like sort of chatted to a few people about those ideas, and even just swimming with, a big flotation thing there is going to be a bit of a tough go. So
Yep.
I think equipment's got at the moment, there's a limit on it, and obviously I'm trying to push those limits, but it's going to get to a certain point where equipment's got to evolve a little bit around body surfing to be able to push it any further.
Right. Size wise, yeah.
Yeah.
And was there ever a point in that day where you thought, I'm in over my head? Because you can't, that's the biggest you've ever body surfed? I'd say, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Size wise, that's probably like face wise, that's probably the biggest I've body surfed. There wasn't really. I think if you're ever in the water and think this is out of my, sort of range of training and everything like that, you're stuffed from then on. You've always got to be positive in your mindset and positive that you're trained hard enough. You think for 1 minute that the ocean's got you, and it will have you, or it'll have you gone in a second. So you've always got to be positive, and even if it is big and you are a bit worried, just sort of rely on your training and everything and all your experience to be positive.
Yep. Man, that's so epic, that one. I love it. But let's move on. So Shipstern's Bluff will go from a deep wave to a shallow wave. So you've got this wave at Shipstern's Bluff, which I've seen the footage of. I don't know if you only got one wave this day or not, but you gave it all. You
I
went
did give
straight
it
over
all.
with the lip.
Yep. It gave me all too. So
Yeah.
it was,
Just take me to the start of it. Like, how did that whole trip? Because that's not, it's not a beach wave you can just turn up to.
nah, we've been like I've been trying to hunt it for like 2 years now, and it's just like about timing and everything like that. And obviously, I'm looking for a particular swell because I don't want the huge days out there where it's just toe ins, because you can't really toe in on body surfing. So yet anyway, um, so I've been looking for a certain swell, and missed it a couple of times throughout the past 2 years, and then this swell came up sort of this year. It was kind of a bad year for swell as well, and this was sort of the only swell that popped up down there, which was kind of good for me because it wasn't a huge swell, but it was enough to get a crew down there because there hadn't been much swell, and I was lucky enough to have days off work, so straight down there and caught a flight down there. Knew that it was going to be a fair decent size, but I was kind of just had my fingers crossed that it was going to be a paddleable day, not really a tow-in day. And for a while we thought that it might be. So I was a bit worried about that. And the days before, we got there the day before the swell and flew into Tassie, which I've never been to Tassie. It's a beautiful place.
Yep.
Freezing though. Bought the winter gear and my thickest sweaty that I had in my garage, and you just sort of going through stories about Shipsterns before it, and it's kind of getting you a little bit uneasy, but you know that you've waited for this day for a long time, so you're just thinking about that, and so yeah, we woke up in the morning and it's probably 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 degrees in Tasmania, and
Shit.
yeah, in the in the hotel room, and so got the wetsuit on in the hotel room because we were getting a boat out there, and I'm like, it's just freezing outside. I'll wear my dry wetsuit and put jackets on and pants on over the top of my wetsuit in my hotel room. And then you do the 30-minute drive from our hotel room to a guy we have down there that has a boat. And he launches his boat down on this beach down there. We all get in the boat. There's probably about 9 of us in the boat, I think.
All body surfers, or you mixed up?
Nah, there was I was body surfing obviously. Then there was another girl that I brought, Caitlin. She's a body surfer, but she wasn't really full in on body surfing it. She hasn't body surfed too many big waves, so she was more just coming for just to watch it because it's like an amazing thing just to watch in itself. And then there was a handful of surfers. There was the Cullen brothers, which they're from the Northern Beaches. They're 14 and sort of the upcoming stars of surfing.
Yep.
And then we had some photographers and videographers. We had Chris Bryan and Tim Benithan on there, and then the skipper. Yeah, and a guy named Lexi, he's another surfer, so he's from the Northern Beaches too. And we've gone out there, and like you get on the boat, and you're thinking, in Sydney, like you just launch the boat, and it's the spot's normally around the corner. We're pretty blessed that there's boat ramps everywhere, so I'm thinking that this will just be a quick, short boat ride. But about an hour later, we're still punching through the swell, and I've heard stories that the hike in is 3 hours, so you kind of got in the back of your head that if you do anything bad, like a spinal, it's either a 3 hour hike back or a 1 hour boat ride through huge open swell. And it's just, that's all it is huge open swell. It's just big cliff faces, and there's nowhere to sort of put your nose of the boat up on a sand beach and hop off there. It's just huge cliff faces and deep ocean water. So you're thinking, if I do a spinal or something here, I'm getting airlifted out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's no way back safely. So that's sort of in the back of your mind as you're punching through the swell, and you get there, and then there's just this big, huge stern that just sits about 50 meters over you, and it just drops off straight away, and you don't realize from the videos how close that stern is to the wave, and it just sort of looks over you, and then how far the water drops off straight after where the wave peaks, just straight after that. Like, I didn't even realize when I got there. One of the boys, they anchored their jet ski there, and the anchor got stuck. This was just sort of out behind where the wave was, and I was like, it's all right, mate. I'm a pretty good free diver. I'll dive down and unhook it. And he kind of looked at me like I'm an idiot. And I got in the water ready to dive down. He's like, mate, you won't get it. I'm like, why? It's probably only 15, 20 meters down. I'll be able to do that. Especially there's a rope there. I'll just pull myself down the rope. I can do that pretty easy. He goes, nah, it's 43 meters here, mate. It must be straight down to straight up. Like, it's crazy. It's like something that haven't seen in Sydney anyway.
It's just like that stern, and then that stern goes straight, almost the same underwater.
Yeah, exactly. Another 50 meters past there. But when we turned up, there was no one out there, no jet skis, no surfers. I knew a couple of people were walking in; they hadn't got there yet. But like, I was frothing, man. Like I was so excited to get in, and it's just been something that I've been waiting for so long. So I was straight in the water, like quickly got my fins on, got in. Like, the Tim and Chris didn't even have time to get their cameras ready. I was in that quick, and I was the only one in the water. Even the boys that were on the boat surfing, they weren't in there yet. and first wave came, and I'm swimming for it, and I just didn't get it. And really, I should have taken a bit more time to like assess the situation and where I should get into the wave, and where it's breaking and stuff like that. But I didn't. I was just frothing so hard and like just really wanted a wave out there. So first wave came, just missed it. Second one comes and it's a bit bigger, from the first one, and it's shaping up nicely. I think I'm in the right spot, but I don't really know because no one's body surfed it before, so I don't really know where you get into the wave body surfing it. And I turn for it and I take a couple of strokes, and I kind of know that I'm a bit late on it. But I knew I was at the point of no return. Like if I had have pulled out, I was getting sucked over anyway. So I thought, just put my head down and see if I can get down the wave. Yeah. Um, Put my head down and took a couple of extra strokes, and it's just picked me up. And it's by far the most ferocious hold down I've ever had. And the water down there is so cold. I've never surfed with wetsuit socks on before. This is the first ever time I had wetsuit socks on. And that comes into the story a little bit later. So I've been sucked over. Half my body is on one side of the lip, the other half of my body's on the other side of the lip. And it just feels like a ton of water that's just smashed me down. I've had my fins on, I've had fin savers on. It's ripped both fins off. Um, and they're not, and it's not like they're just dangling on my ankles from the fin savers. They're gone. The fin savers are snapped. Um, I've smashed against the bottom. So I hit the bottom pretty hard. Luckily, it was like the side of my shoulder. It wasn't my head. I was kind of like this. So I had my head covered. Smashed up against the bottom, and it wasn't like a long hold down, but I think that's because I bumped off the bottom pretty hard. Um, and I've popped up, and the rocks are like just behind me. Like, you know that the rocks are just there, and you're with other spots, you're kind of comfortable with the rocks just being there because you know where the water's going to go. Because I'd never been there, I didn't know if if the wave pushes me into the rocks or if it pushes me out from the rocks. Had no idea. So there was no jet skis there at that point. It was just our boat, and they're not going to drive that 30-foot boat, on the inside of those waves to pick me up. So I knew it was me, myself, and I really on the inside of those waves, and um, my fins had gone, and the adrenaline was pumping through me so much that I was kind of just like, quick, just swim out. And I took 2 strokes, and that's when I realized that you can't swim with fin socks on. Like, you just go nowhere. The fin socks are filled with water because that's what they do. They fill with water and your body warms it up. So it's like you got anchors on your feet. So you see in the video that like I take 1 or 2 strokes and I realize I'm going nowhere. So I just kind of take the next wave on the head, and then after that I do like a leisurely backstroke out of there because I know that like really swimming out of there, like I can't swim out of the waves. I can't go anywhere. There's no jet skis there to pick me up. Um, so I'm just hoping that the waves just push me to the channel, kind of thing. Do a leisurely backstroke, and then the next wave comes, and I reckon I was like a little bit worried, just not knowing where the waves would push me, knowing that there was no jet skis there, no rescue team there yet. They have a rescue ski there now, but they wasn't there when I was in the water. Kind of got pushed to the channel eventually, and then swam over to the boat, um, and that point, I was like, "That was sick!" Like, that was awesome. Like, I don't mind a beat down every now and then. Like, it kind of puts you in your place a little bit and lets you know the power of the ocean. So I was like, that was awesome, boys. Like, I'm like, nah, it wasn't that bad at all. But like, it was just because the adrenaline was pumping through me so much. I'd hyperextended my right knee, when I got sucked over, and as I said, my body was just on two different sides of the lip, and it's just come on my knee and hyperextended my knee. But I wasn't going to like let that ruin my trip. I had a spare pair of fins, so I put my spare pair of fins on and still got back in the water. And every time I kicked with my right knee, it felt like my right knee had hyperextend again. So I was just like kicking with my left leg. So I got a couple of waves after that, but nothing like I really want that like shippies, big step kind of shippies novelty wave, which I didn't actually, I got taken by a proper shippies wave, but I want to like actually ride a proper shippies wave. The ones that I got were fun and all, and like any other wave, you'd be like, I got an awesome wave. But just like knowing that you're going there for that typical shippies step and munted wave, I'll definitely be back again when my knee's all healed now, so I'm back to 100%, and I'm back in the water a fair bit, training up for. So hopefully coming into this winter or this winter, another swell comes down there, and 100% I'll be back down there trying to chase that shippies wave. And I think I got the knowledge on it a bit now. I got the lowdown a bit on where to sit and where to get into the wave and stuff like that. So hopefully it's a bit of a better result this next time.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's so heavy. I'll put that video on too, but it's just wild. Like, well, watching it, it's like I almost knew what was going to happen as soon as as soon as you were lining up for it. It's just gone. But yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine that sort of beatdown being just so violent and rough. And I don't think you wouldn't have worn a helmet or anything, would you?
Nah, no helmet on, no, like
And just you in the water.
just me. Yeah, I was the only one out there, and you see everyone in the video. You see everyone still on the boat, like sort of cringe a little bit because they
Yeah.
knew it was a kind of a heavy wipeout. But I was right. I popped up pretty quick, and hyperextended knee's not going to stop me. That's for sure. I've dislocated bloody hips before and stuff like that. So
Whoa.
a hyperextended knee's not going to do much.
Just a scratch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting out the back at a place like Shipsterns, like back to the security of a surfboard. I don't mind sitting on my surfboard, but when you're just floating around in the water, especially at a place like that, does anything ever go through your head like what's swimming under me?
Yeah, 100% it does.
Especially with no one out.
100% it does. And like, I really appreciate at some spot surfers coming up and saying, "Hey, just let you know out the back. I just saw something." But then at the same time, I'd probably rather not know than know
Yeah.
what's out there. So like, um, so yeah, you just kind of try and fob it off and not really think about it too much, and just think about the waves that are coming in. And a lot of the time, you're like, when surfers give you that heads up, you're at spots that it's probably going to take, you're at reef spots that it's going to probably take 5-10 minutes to swim in anyway. So you kind of just floating out there then, knowing that probably best just to stay here. By if I swim in, I'm still in the water for the next 10 or so minutes. By then it's probably going to be gone. um, so I rather just not know what's under me, really.
Yeah. And did you happen to watch any of the local boys that day get any waves?
Oh yeah, yeah, and like some amazing, amazing waves, and that's all, like after I had gotten that first wave, we were there for probably 5 hours, 6 hours. Um, that's a lot of what I did is just sat in the lineup, took notes down on where they're all getting into the waves and how they're riding it and feeling the energy and stuff like that. And I still got caught in some pretty hairy spots where, like, I was sitting on the inside and some 15 footers had come through and I'd be ducking under them. But like that's exciting enough for me as it is. Like just doing that sort of stuff, and you get some visuals that like no one else gets. That's another pleasure of body surfing is these surfers are sitting at the peak and they're just getting the excitement of the waves they catch, but you're actually on the inside. You're getting the excitement of watching these beautiful waves that like no one really ever gets to sit in that position and on, those type of waves and what have them break over their head and stuff like that. So you know that you're sort of one of these lucky people in the whole world that get have such little equipment that they can sit that far on the inside.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, and you see the cameramen sitting in there sometimes too. Like, that's next level crazy as well
Yeah,
too. Some of the spots they sit,
yeah,
but to get that visual, that's what you got to do.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like some of the visuals I got were like ones that I'll never see again. That for sure, unless I go back down to Shippies, of course. But yeah, absolute beautiful spot, a beautiful trip. We finished it off, catching getting the boat back and getting on a few beers and telling a few stories,
Watching the footage.
watching the footage, watching some of Chris and Tim's footage back, and yeah, they didn't have their cameras set up as yet, so that video you see of me is just they didn't have time to get their cameras set up, so it's just an iPhone video. Um, but yeah, I really want to. That's also a big reason I want to get back down there. I want to get that hero shot on Shippies, as well as proving to myself that a lot of people have written it off as a body surfing wave, and I'm like, mate, there's definitely body surfing waves out there. Like, there's definitely some that are really body surfable, um, and you could make it a fair way on them if you're sitting in the right spot and get in on the right spot. The issue is just navigating that step. The surfers get in just before the step, and go straight down over the lip and then hook it as they're at the bottom of the wave. Do a big bottom turn up the face, where you can't do that body surfing. You can't just go down into the flats and hook it. You've sort of got to go across the wave. So it's either get in before the lip and go across the wave on the step, which is really hard when you don't have much um, planing surface, or get in just after the lip, which is what I tried to do, and that's where it's most sucky and most chance that you're going to get sucked over, like what happened.
Can't take off in the step there.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Like
I was being sarcastic.
watching the footage, I was like, take off in the step, like it's heaps sucky there.
Yeah,
But it just like that's where it collapses. That's where it just sucks up and just it'd be like a closeout.
yeah, it'd be heavy.
Yeah,
Be good to see though.
yeah, it would. It would.
Don't do it. Oh man, so what's next for you? You got any big plans?
I really want to do Chopu.
Right.
Yeah,
Has anyone done that before?
yeah, a couple of people have done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really want to do Chopes. Look, long term, maybe the right, maybe.
Oh shit. Yeah.
But that's one of those spots that I think equipment has to evolve a little bit. Maybe it's me that has to evolve it and try and
Yeah.
get some sort of plans in place to actually be able to pull a string or something to pop me up to the surface. But I got to work that out. Like, if you want to push it like that, you got to do it in a safe manner. You can't just expect to just go there and um, I've heard people like Shane Ackerman have 3 wave hold downs there and stuff. You can't just expect that that's not going to happen to you. You've got to prepare for the worst. So yeah, possibly the right, but we'll see. We'll see. I really want to do obviously Shipsterns properly first, and Tahiti Chopes, and then yeah, I've done a lot of other spots. Other than that, like Cape and sort of Pipe. I go to Pipe every year so just tick one wave off at a time, and then sort of start to plan for the next. Chippies has been the goal for a while, and I think I'm halfway there. So hopefully another stop down there, and I would have completely ticked that one off the list. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and then we can start to look towards the horizon and see what other waves there are out there that I want to accomplish.
Mate, I love it. I think that's a good spot to finish up because we're going to do this again. And Yeah, that they're wild. They're two stories I've wanted to hear ever since I saw those waves. I wanted to hear what that experience is like. So I really appreciate your time coming on telling those stories. And man, I'm so pumped to see what you do next.
No worries, Dan. Thanks very much for having me. I love the podcast. Love listening in. So it's been a pleasure to be on here.
I love it, mate. Thank you for that. And I'll put your Instagram. I'll put anyone else we spoke about's Instagram in the show notes as well.
Yep.
So check him out because it's like you and probably Kalani. I don't know many other people, but you two, I would say, are raising that whole sport like to new levels. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
We're
I love it.
trying.
Yeah, mate, it's working. It's working. You know, Tracks only the other day. Tracks put your video up as was number 8 or something of the year.
Yeah.
Tracks mag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a surfing mag.
Yeah.
So
Insane.
it's awesome, man. It's awesome. So I love it. I love what you're doing. Can't wait to have you on again. And you know, you're welcome anytime. Obviously, so are your insane body surfing mates.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks very much for
But
having me.
good on you, Corey. I appreciate it, mate. You're a legend.